you and I are being defined as terrorists. The act of, having this conversation. I mean, I said I want there to be hearings, and if the law finds it to be necessary, imprisonment of, the President of the United States. And according to this law, I'm guilty because I've just, encouraged coercion of the government.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a horrific, nightmarish law that comes right out of the annals of Hitler and Stalin. And it's one that can open the door to, really mass arrests and mass abuse of citizens and a complete crackdown on dissent. Because, what happens in the closing society is that there are a handful of very visible arrests of people like you and me, critics, editors, journalists, opposition leaders, and some kind of violent retribution against them, whether I read in the Washington Post that a journalist got 10 years in prison under the Espionage Act, which the White House is threatening, or, the head of the New York Times has been named an enemy combatant. At that point, I'm going to stop talking, because at that point it gets too risky. And so you can see a society close down even with civil society structures still intact. And this law just sets up the stage for that to happen again tomorrow, and I'm horrified that Democrats passed it.
Yeah.
What were they thinking?
Yeah, what were they thinking? Indeed, and I think the more you look, I have to conclude that Nancy Pelosi, perhaps, and this Jane Harman, they're neocons. They're basically neocons when you get right down to it.
What's up with them? I don't get it.
They're basically neocons, and I don't think that there's any distinction to be made anymore from the Democratic Party and the Republican Party on certain levels. At this level, when you're talking about, the chairman of the Homeland Security Department subcommittee in the House of Representatives. Now, the second part of this bill, which is also quite interesting, at first is the realm of ideas and the starting to define certain thought processes and ideas as illegal or criminal. The second part establishes a funding mechanism for going from the federal level down to the state and local level, to basically reach into the state and local level from the federal level via the purse strings to involve state and local governments in the what appears to me essentially a propaganda effort, and also a civic organizational kind of an effort. It makes reference to civic engagement and community outreach. It says that the federal government, listen to this one, this is a really good one, the federal government can define a population to be at risk for radicalization. And then it can simply declare an entire population to be at risk for radicalization, and once so defined, then the federal government can appropriate funds to the state and local level to do this kind of civic engagement and outreach. And what I would say this means is they could say, well, students, let's just say students are at risk for radicalization. Therefore, they're going to give money to the state, and the state will then, any state institution will then have to have mandatory classes for college students on how to be a good American citizen and how to watch
according
out
to the regime.
All of this, so basically brainwashing, and then there would seem to be a monitoring component involved here, where civic engagement seems to imply some kind of street level snitch network, of some kind. So
which again, right out of the pages of history.
Absolutely.
Mussolini pioneered the snitch network. Hitler studied Mussolini and did his own version. Stalin studied Hitler. These German Stasi kept a file on 10% of the population, so everyone thought they were under surveillance. Yeah, I mean, they're setting up the informant system that operated in Nazi Germany.
Yeah, that's what this would.
Nightmare.
Yeah, that's what this would appear to be, and it also appears to be merely an icebreaker bill, where this bill basically kind of gets things on the agenda and establishes them firmly on the national agenda, and then I think the real guns open up after that. So this sailed through the House of Representatives, I cannot believe it, 404 to 6 to
what were they thinking?
Yeah.
Okay, that's horrifying. I love talking about these issues, but I unfortunately I have to leave shortly.
That's fine.
Attend to my children. Is there a sort of a gracious way I can
Yes, absolutely.
close my remarks?
Yes, you can summarize by anything that you'd like to say, and just allow me to thank you for coming onto the show, and ask you that hopefully it won't be the last time. And if you'd let me, if you'd email me and get me your email address, I'd like to keep you on the mailing list for the show, and keep you in touch with the information that comes up as it comes out. And I can give you my email. It's freedommessage@sbcglobal.net. Freedommessage@sbcglobal.net. And my website is www.ronpaulfreedommessage.com. And you can keep in touch with me that way.
Thank you so much. Well, yeah, thank you. I do appreciate that. I'd love to be kept informed. I think that what we really need to do is create an alliance of our various organizations and confront these abusers while we still can. And I just want to thank you for, your community's dedication to the Constitution, the rule of law, and especially to be hopeful of, this paradigm shift you mentioned, that we can really unite in support of the vision our founders hope that we would defend. Thank you so much for the chance to talk to you.
Thank you, and thank you very much for joining us. And you go ahead and go take care of those beautiful children of yours.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Okay, so there we had Naomi Wolf on the line with us. And I'm very pleased to have had the opportunity to speak with her. And it's, proof. I know that I've had my own political journey. I mean, who and what I am today politically is certainly somewhat substantially different from what I have been in the past and what I'm probably likely to be in the future. And that's freedom. The ability to change your mind, think and develop over time, adjust to changing circumstances. This is freedom. And I think it's really we can't have a demonized kind of point of view. I got an email from somebody who, when I sent out my email announcement about this interview with Naomi Wolf, then it was noted that she was a Rhodes Scholar, and apparently the Rhodes Scholarship is a sort of part of the globalist network, as it were, and I think that can be somewhat demonstrated. But people are individual human beings. They may have gone to a particular college, they may have had contact with certain, elements of the establishment, but it doesn't mean that they, as individuals, cannot develop, change, and shift over time. And I'm sure that's what's happening with Naomi Wolf. I know that's what's happening with myself. This is something that we're free to do. And so please approach people with openness of heart and mind and engage them and talk to them. Just as Ron Paul says, talk to people really and listen. And listen to what they have to say. It's very essential so that we can continue to grow and develop as a society politically in an organic way. Just want to thank you all for listening in and tuning into the show today. There were a whole host of technical glitches that happened today, and I just don't know what to say about it. You know what? This is very cutting edge technology. This is all new stuff. I'm learning on the fly how to make this work and happen. I'm doing it all on my own. So while I'm trying to present to you news and analysis, I'm also dealing with technical issues, mixing the audio. There's a whole host of things that are happening simultaneously. So I hope that you will bear with me as I learn to make this happen and present an increasingly more cohesive and together show for you as time goes on. I do hope to continue to bring great guests for you, like Naomi Wolf and others in the coming weeks. And I guess a final note, I wanted to talk about the 5th of November. There has I have not been 100% supportive of this effort to raise money on the 5th of November, only because I just don't feel very comfortable with the choice of that date and the imagery around the V character and the Guy Fawkes character, both of whom are essentially terrorists. And I